So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics. Really fucking best podcast. Always the same shit. It got a little bit boring, I think, when I always tell the same shit. I do just have to close every single application so that it's not too loud in terms of the fans, actually. Sometimes it actually happens that the recording is some kind of not that fluent or not that high of a frame rate, and this is also but really disturbing. That's really pissing me off. So therefore, just really closing everything is a good way to pretty much, just be sure that nothing is quite disturbing or whatever. But as you can see in the here in the background or on the side, whatever you want to call it, we are going ahead with Notes from a Friend by Tony Robbins. So we are actually not going ahead, but we will actually start with this book. This is actually a book that was kind of recommended to read after I've read the other book, which was called Good Feeling or Mood Therapy by what was it called? I do not remember. Never mind. But this is actually a book, and I had a quick look on it. This is actually a pretty fucking great book, and it I think, pretty much just says everything that I stand for and everything that I kind of believe in. And therefore, I'm pretty fucking pumped to go through this one, especially because I, did have forgot about it. So I actually have seen it quite a lot, but I didn't really mention or didn't really recognize that it is actually on the samuelthomasdavis.com website for me to go through. But so now we are here, and now we're going through this one, and I think it's totally great, and I do hope the fans will get a little bit not that noisy in the meantime. So the book in 3 sentences, and it could actually be the thing that we go through this entire book summary in this one episode, and this would actually be kind of great because, I think the second video of today will actually be a motivational speech, my first one actually, because I'm really pumped to do this, and I'm really looking forward to do this because, I was actually kind of just vacuuming my whole flat or the whole flat of my family. And this, it got me pumped. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of the music that I was listening to, which is, actually also a point. Never ever listen to negative music. At my point of view, this also, or all these things that you're consuming, that you're hearing, and that's also, a reason why the people around you are such an incredible factor for your own success and your own your own life, is that you recognize everything and you subconsciously absorb everything. And this is, at my point of view, the same case with what you're listening to and what you're just, quite surrounding yourself with. Because we in this area have the opportunity, or era actually, we all have the opportunity to really surround ourselves with people and or voices that are really pumping us up and that are really motivating us and that are really just some kind of mentors to you. So I, for example, kind of think Gary Vee and all the other great thinkers like also Tony Robbins and or Warren Buffett and all these great people are some kind of mentors to me. And the actual thing is, I've never ever talked to them in person. These are just all people who are in the internet. I'm just watching interviews of them, and also Elon Musk, forget about him. But we do have the opportunity to surround ourselves with their voices and with their characteristics and with their life, basically, especially with people like Gary Vee, who just really put out a lot of content and really just give you the opportunity or a really easy opportunity to do that. This is really, at my point of view, one of the best things in our era right now, that because some years ago, 50 years ago, we didn't have the opportunity to surround ourselves with people who are looking in the future, people who are driving for or thriving for just greatness and being the best in the world, or just being wealthy, or whatever you want in your life. And this is just something incredible. This is just something you and I have to be grateful for. But the book in 3 sentences. The first one is, the best doesn't equal the future. The past doesn't equal the future. It is the moment of decision that your destiny is shaped. That's totally true. And, most of the time, the moment of decision is pretty much right now. And therefore, at my point of view, the now and, quite the present is just really determine your life. What was in the future or what was in the past might be determining what your present looks like, but you alone have the opportunity and or the possibility to change and make the present to what you want to be it like, or actually kind of, create the fundamental that the future is actually what you want to be it like. It doesn't have to be that your present is actually as good as you want it right now. It doesn't have to be like this. And probably a lot of people, or for a lot of people, it is quite, the fact that the present is some kind of there, but it's not what they actually want. And therefore, making the first steps in the present and just really creating the fundamental and the base for an entire new future, an entire different future in the now is pretty important. The second one is whatever you think about most, is what you will experience. And I think this just really plays into the hands of focus. What you focus on is what you get. And if you just focus on the negative things, you will experience negative things. But if you focus on the good things, you will totally experience good things. The third one is the fastest way to change how you feel about anything is to change what you're focusing on. This is some kind of an additional fact to the second point and my point of view, but it's totally true. And the 5 big ideas of this book are almost all the changes we want to make fall into one of two categories. Either we want to change the way we feel about things, or we want to change our actions. And that's totally true. This makes sense. And if you just play through a little or a few situations, which is always the good thing about those self-help books, especially about or from authors who actually know what they're talking about. This is just really important. But this is actually the thing, that you can actually go through every kind of statement they make and put it in different situations or scenarios, and then actually be like, okay, is this something that's actually true or not? And most of the time I feel like, okay, when Tony Robbins is saying something, this totally kind of truth. The second one is you can change anything in your life today by changing your perceptions and changing your actions. And that's the thing, how could you just pretty much expect something different if you do the same thing all the fucking time? And this is just something that's so easy and so obvious, but at my point of view, and this really kind of just hit me until this point where I just really kind of got to know this kind of statement, or got to know this, or really kind of how should I say? It's pretty difficult to say or to explain what I actually mean. The time where I just actually kind of recognized that this is actually the truth really changed my mind. The thing is, I don't even find the words for just explaining what I just, or expressing what I just mean. It's so obvious that by the actions you take, you determine what your life looks like, and what your day looks like, what your month looks like, and what your year looks like, and what your life looks like. This just makes sense, because if you just eat shit over and over again and all the time, and you change nothing, then you can probably expect that you're gaining weight, that you're feeling not good, and you cannot expect that you feel good because you're just eating shit all the time. It's the same thing with all the other things. If you do nothing like sport, then you can't expect to just have a proper or well-looking body. If you do, you can expect it. It's just pretty simple, but actually something that I, for myself, haven't been kind of thinking about so much before. And this was actually a very, very great contribution to my life. Your past does not equal the future, totally, because the present is in between. The fourth one is the key to success is to decide what's most important to you and then make massive action each day to make it better, even when it doesn't look as if it is working. And this, the very last sentence, or the very last part of the sentence, even when it doesn't look as if it is working. And this is actually something that's pretty important to me, because I kind of feel like, I'm putting out so much content a day, or in a week. In a week, I think it's about 70 posts a week, because I'm putting out 10 posts a day. And this is just incredible. You just have to look at I need 1.5 weeks to actually get 100 posts done. It is just massive for me. And this is just, the massive action that all the people and all the, kind of successful people are talking about. And this just makes sense. You cannot, this is, again, the kind of expectation thing. You cannot expect to be the greatest if you do not do or do not surpass what the greatest at this point in time is doing, And And yeah, this is it. The fifth one is, ultimately, it is our decision, not the conditions of our lives, to determine our destiny. And this is also something that was pretty interesting to me, where I just really saw the data of it. And they were kind of searching or kind of analyzing the data on, why people are happy or how people get happy and so on. And they really found out that your circumstances do not have a lot to do with your happiness at all, because you just have to look at all these African and very poor just children. They are happy, and a lot of times you see that our children in the first world, and especially in Europe and I think in North America, aren't that happy, even though you have to say that children in general are more happier than just adults, because of I don't know, which is also a fact that doesn't make too much sense, but in a very, very just big picture, when you really go into detail, it makes sense, because adults do have to do some things they do not like, and so on and so on and so on. So but you can definitely see that these people, and especially these children which are living just in very, very poverty, they're just so poor they don't even have water to drink, that they are still happy and they are still smiling, not all the time and so on, but you can definitely feel like, or just I feel like, okay, these people aren't too unhappy. These people are just, I don't know, this just pretty much shows to me that, it doesn't have to be, or you do not have to just think about your circumstances and be just very kind of, I don't know, drowned by your circumstances. And you do not have to just, put your circumstances on such a pedestal that you think like, this is it and you can't change anything, because you can change everything. In the present, we all have the opportunity and the possibility to change what our life look like and what our day look like. And, this is the really big one and the really small one. And the better you make your day, the better you make your life. Notes from a friend. Summary. So almost all the changes we want to make fall into one of two categories, which is basically also, a thing that was standing up there as well. Either we want to change the way we feel about things, or we want to change our actions. And definitely true. So the only things that is necessary to make this work for you right now is to begin to believe that it is possible to change. The past doesn't matter. Whatever hasn't worked in the past has nothing to do with what you will do today. What you do right now is what will shape your destiny. And this is just it. There's nothing to complain about. There's nothing to say against it. This is just it. You can change anything in your life today by changing your perceptions and changing your actions. Totally. Often the reason that people say they can't do something is that they are tired, that they tried things in the past that haven't worked. And this actually doesn't mean, and this is kind of the fixed mindset. So if you're interested in the growth mindset and in the fixed mindset, which is kind of a perception of, or a look at, how different how different people think, or what different kinds of mindsets you can have, definitely check out the book Mindset and also the summary of Mindset. There are quite a lot out there on the internet, and it is, I think, especially quite interesting to read. I past or back in the days have read it on the powermoves.com website, and you can check it out there as well. So but I think this is was actually one of the two books that I didn't want to go through because it was so complicated for me to understand. But it's definitely just me, because I'm not a native speaker and I didn't understand it at this point. But I just probably know that I will understand it in future days. Yeah. Your past doesn't equal the future. Totally. What matters is not yesterday, but what you do right now. This is totally true, but you can say that if you just really create a good base for today, yesterday, this just is also something that helps you. If you just, did what you always wanted to do, if you did or got, or you were strict with yourself and did all the things you wanted to do yesterday, this just really creates yourself, or for yourself, the framework that you will actually do the same thing, on the next day, and on the next day, on the next day. And but in terms of this, what really helped me, and a lot of people say, you shouldn't do this, but at my point of view, this is just great for me and it just worked for me, is that I just really do it right now. Whatever I wanted, if it was, I don't know, making the videos, making the podcast, making the posts, I always started on this very day that I thought about it. And this was very important for me because I created for me the mindset and the framework that I really just do what I want to do in the now. Because people actually say that you have a 90% chance of not doing it if you're not doing it right now. So therefore, just doing it right now is the best opportunity and the best, possibility for you to actually stick to it and, actually kind of do it. The key to success is to decide what's most important to you and then take massive action each day to make it better, even when it doesn't look as if it is working. Pretty important, I've talked about it before. Personal power means being persistent in taking action. Every time you do something, you learn from it and you find a way to do it better next time. It is always the case. If you're doing something good at the first time or better the first time, or just, in the very, very long run, there might be some times, or probably will be some times, where you just fuck up a little bit, or you just, don't do something that good like yesterday, or maybe you like tomorrow. This is happening to me, as well, or this happened to me as well. So, but this is also something that you shouldn't just, get crippled by. This is something that's totally normal, and even though it's maybe a full week of, not being that good at a certain thing, and, in terms of me, it is always about speaking. Speaking is something that's really kind of wavy. Sometimes it's pretty good and sometimes it's very fucking bad. And I don't know why. And I do thought about it. It may have to do with my tiredness, or with me actually speaking another language the whole day long, and so on and so on. So there are quite a lot of factors, but yeah. No problem is permanent. No problem affects my entire life. This is to shall pass if I continue to take massive, positive, constructive action. That's totally true. Nothing is just, permanent. If it is you being not healthy, definitely not permanent. And you definitely know that. You will get healthy and you will feel rested at a time. And yeah. So massive consistent action with pure persistence and a sense of flexibility in pursuing your goals will ultimately give you what you want. But you must abandon any sense that there is no solution. There is always a solution. God's delays are not God's denials. Oh, I understand this. Which actually means, okay, because, or just even if the thing that you actually want, or that you want so bad, if it is not coming to you right now, or if you didn't get it right now, doesn't mean that you will never have it. And this is just what this says. This is actually a good one. I should actually write it down. So success is the result of good judgment. Good judgment is the result of experience, and experience is often the result of bad judgment. Well, so the power of decision is the power of change. Ultimately, it's our decisions, not the conditions of our lives, that determine our destiny. The only way to change your life is to make a real decision. You can choose what to believe about yourself, and these beliefs will determine the actions you take. Totally, because your actions and all the things that you're doing just really based on your values and on your goals, and or should be. But at my point of view, they are subconsciously directly kind of connected to it. Because if you feel like, okay, looking cool is something that's very important to me and that's a value to me, then you might be just, paying more for maybe clothes, or maybe smoking, even if this is something or a factor for you to actually look cool. I don't know, actually a possibility, but you will actually just act different than somebody who is just like, okay, I don't give a fuck if anybody just thinks that I'm cool, and I don't give a fuck if I, for myself, find that I look cool, but, at the end, it's just about me being happy and, whatever. And so these are two different values, and these two different values lead to different actions and different lifestyles as well. The fastest way to change how you feel about anything is to change what you're focusing on, totally. The reality is whatever you focus on, you move toward. That totally makes sense. If you really focus on the negativity, you will just, go for the negativity, because you only see this. And this is actually something that I talked too much about, I think. But yeah. Whatever you think about most is what you will experience. Okay, this also plays in the hands of actually, the focus thing. We almost realize that emotion is created by motion. And this is something that I have been pondering about and that I've been thinking about, like, okay, is this actually true? And, I wasn't sure for a long time until I saw an article of Harvard, or just, saw an kind of, yeah, it was an article. It was actually a study, I think, of Harvard. And they actually kind of verified and validated that this is actually true, that motion creates emotion. From this point on, by actually going through a lot of scenarios and thinking about it, I think this is actually true, yeah. If it's about, okay, you being like, straight with your back, you feel definitely better than if you're just really very, just so tiny and you make yourself tiny and you feel like an embryo or some shit. Or if it's like you have crossed arms, that's making you defensive. And I definitely believe in it. And so when you choose a metaphor to describe a life or a situation, you choose the beliefs it supports to. The harder you prepare, the luckier you seem to get. Yeah. Okay. Or, it doesn't have to be about luck, but actually to be about actually you being good at a certain task you prepared so long for. Before something happens in the world, it must first happen in your mind. Definitely. And the people who overcome the odds and turn their lives around make 3 powerful kinds of decisions every day. What to focus on, what things mean, and what to do. Definitely. What to focus on is actually what you want to do. What things mean is like kind of also what you want to do in terms of actually thinking like, is this actually good for me? Or if this is actually something that I want to do, and what it means to me. Is this actually important for me or not? And, I definitely think like you won't do any things that are not important to you or doesn't mean anything to you. And therefore, then the last one is what to do is how you achieve this particular goal and, what way you will go and so on and so on and so on. How much are we? In 21 minutes, actually. We actually nearly finished this book, which is quite amazing. Quite amazing in a positive and a negative way, because I haven't been talking too much in this episode, but yeah. So the problem-solving questions. What is great about this problem? In terms of why this problem is huge, or why I always thought this is something that's overwhelming or something that I will never be able to overcome. So this is actually a great question. Also, but on the other hand, it could also be a positive question, like what is great about the problem? What can I learn from this problem? What could give me this problem that I will not get without the problem? Because at my point of view, if it's kind of failure, if it's a problem, if it's whatever negative thing it is, there's always something to learn about it. Whether it's you actually failing to do it, and therefore you're learning, okay, this is a thing, and this is a way to do something that I will never do because it didn't work for me. Or if it is actually like, I don't know. Or it is actually like, okay, this is a problem and, I will just, try to solve it, and you solve it, and therefore you learn, okay, this is actually working, or some kind of this is working. What is not perfect yet? Perfectionism is total shit, and I don't actually know what he means by saying what is not perfect yet. Well, this is quite a good question, also in terms of content creation and having a strategy for your content on social media or your company or whatever you're doing, because actually thinking like, okay, what is not perfect yet? Because I feel like, and I did it myself, to be honest, I always just see things that are not perfect yet, but I just ignore them, and because I do not want to do them. This is, the easiest explanation for why I don't do certain things. I don't want to. I don't feel like it. And therefore I kind of just miss it out. I just, literally don't do it. The thing is, pretty much asking yourself what is not perfect yet is just really focusing on, or just really lets you focus on what is not really perfect yet, and what's, some of the things that you have to work on, whether it's something that you want to focus on or not. And this is really, at my point of view, a way to just kind of push these things again into your mind and let you focus on these. So what am I willing to do to make it the way I want it? Which is kind of think the really max what you would to do, or what you would do to just achieve the certain goal you're having. What is the very, very just kind of extreme thing you would do to just achieve what you're thinking about. The fourth one is, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to no longer do to make it the way I want it? This is quite the opposite way, I think. This is quite, what you will never do to just get this certain thing. The easiest explanation would be, what would you not eat for any longer to really get to your optimal health or optimal body weight? Actually a good question. How can I enjoy the process while I do what is necessary to make it the way I want it? And this is a powerful question. This is also something everybody and quite a lot of people should focus on. Often it is not about the goal, and often it is just because it is just about the process. Often just, and this is something I felt, often you think like, the goal is so great and I just want it to be like this and whatever. But at the end, if you just get to the goal and you just see what this goal is, looking like and what it's like to be able to just have achieved this certain goal, often you feel like, the process was actually more fun than, where I am right now. And this is also kind of an explanation why I think that Gary Vee, even though he just, doesn't have the money yet, and he, if he just wants to buy the Jets and football team, he actually wouldn't do it if he got it right now. He wouldn't just want it right now if he could, at my point of view. Or just, some guy on an interview or on his show asked him if he actually would like to have the Jets now, in the very now, but I think it was the question like, okay, would you have the Jets right now and just wearing Jordans, which is some kind of thing he doesn't like at all, or not? And he definitely said no, he wouldn't do it, because he would have to, wear these Jordans all the fucking time, his whole entire life long. And I think this was the question. It's not that a good question is, I've just, remember it right now. I think it was actually a different one, but he actually wouldn't do it, because I think that he pretty much knows that the process he is in right now is just really something that he enjoys to do. This is just something that he likes to do, and he really just understands that the process itself is something that's very, very valuable. And if you fall in love with the process already, just getting to your goal is something that's maybe way easier, because what you're doing every single day, what you're doing all the time, what you're doing this day, that day, whatever, is something that you like, something that you love, something that you enjoy. Yeah, fucking yeah. So other books by Anthony Robbins is the Awaken the Giant Within, which is actually a book that I've been going through as well. It's a pretty great book, even though I think, the really physical one, or the really, the actual book itself is way better than a summary, because there should be so much in it and should be so much knowledge in it that it is actually kind of, putting everything into summary is, at my point of view, pretty fucking damn hard. So Awaken the Giant Within, how to take immediate control of your mental, emotional, physical and financial destiny. And Unlimited Power, the new science of personal achievement, which I actually don't know if I've gone through this already or not. And the recommended reading, if you like notes from a friend, you may also enjoy the following books: The Daily Stoic, 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday, which is actually an author that I've been going through one of his books quite recently. Just really yesterday actually was the last part of one of his books. I don't know how I should just think about him, because at my point of view, his main career is nowadays pretty much only writing books, which is nothing wrong. Seth Godin is also just, taking this way. But yeah, he has done a lot of great books, like The Obstacle is the Way, which is, like the process is the way, or the process is key and not actually the goal, which was, actually the fact that I was talking about quite before. But yeah, actually Deep Work, which seems to be a very great book. I've been going through it myself already, in terms of the summary with you. But it was not a book that I thought like, okay, this is so amazing, and I was so, astonished by it. It was quite okay, but I think this is because of the summary and not because of the book. But it is always, you can always just see it when people post their books, what they're reading, or if you just look on Amazon, what are the trendy books there is always, and you can always see just deep work, rules for focused success in a distracted world, by Carl Newport. And the E-Myth Revisited, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It, by Michael E. Gerber. Yeah, and this is quite it with this episode. Yeah, we're actually 30 minutes in, which is fairly great. Yeah, fairly great, because I could do more. I could actually do more, especially because there will always be, or only be, some kind of motivational speak today, which I hope I will edit great and hope I will do great on. And yeah, I know it is always like, in the very, very beginning of the day, I tend to make the post and to do something that's very creative. And and I really feel like I'm I'm losing a lot of time, because it's already 3 p.m. I didn't went outside. I didn't quite do anything but just sitting there, recording my stuff, doing my stuff. It's not like, okay, I don't like it. I definitely like it, but often I feel like, okay, in the summer days and in the days where I do just have to do a little bit more for school than right now, because actually in the times where I've quite started this journey were the times where I did not have to do a lot in school, to be honest, which is which is a little bit, a fear for me that it wouldn't work out too good if, the times come where I do just have to do a little more or even way more, especially on the weekends. But I think, okay, I will find the time for doing these things, especially if I just remember myself on, okay, you will actually use the time you're having. And this is something that I've always been just thinking about and that always been emphasizing, because it's totally true. The more time you have, the more time you will use. And this is the fucked up part about what I'm doing every single weekend. I do the same shit that I could do in 3 hours, 4 hours, in quite the whole day. And this is something I shouldn't do. And this is something I should be more careful about. I should be a little bit more strict with me, working properly and working in a good and efficient way to just, maybe even be able to do other things and to just rest and do things that I've, always been willing to do but never had the time to, especially during the week, which is, quite often the case. But yeah, so, I'm definitely not, quite unhappy with, what I'm doing with the work I'm just putting out. And I definitely hope that somewhere some boy or some girl or someone outside here is just really kind of getting some value out of this content that I'm just putting out every single day. If it's the posts or the actual videos, I just hope that people need what I'm doing. I do not hope that I need it, but I hope I can help them with what I'm doing. And with that being said, I hope you do not forget to give back to the people and look at your legacy and think about your legacy. But I still wish you the best wealth, health, happiness, and success. And with that being said, I wish you a wonderful day, or actually night. Maybe some time zones it will be night already. And I'll see you the next time.